Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Oner podcast, the podcast where we review and break down films all in one big, long, unbroken take. I'm Austin Archer, and with me, as always, is my childhood next door neighbor and lifelong best friend.
Oh, hold on. Let me see if I can do this.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not the best
I was
right
thinking of
now,
that.
but
I was like, what do I do the intro in Yautja? Do I go like,
yeah. Ooh.
but I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
I don't know. And then we put subtitles under it. I wore
Yeah.
a wolf hat. I mean, we
Yes.
grew up doing Boy Scouts, and you
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
learn how to survive in the wild, out in the
yeah.
wilderness. And
Uh-huh.
also, there's a thing about wolves in this movie too,
Yes, he is. Yes,
and
there
about
is.
learning to be part of a pack.
Yeah.
This is Dan Trachtenberg's Predator Badlands in
Yes.
theaters right now.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, Dan Trachtenberg did Prey and also Killer of Killers,
Yes.
which is an animated film that I think is on. I think they're both on Hulu.
Yes.
If you're curious about his previous work, but yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say that the Predator franchise has been revitalized by Dan
Yes.
Trachtenberg's work.
Yeah, it really, really has. And did you see Killer of Killers? Have you watched it?
I have not watched Killer of Killers
I,
yet.
I would recommend it. It's a fun movie as well. They really take advantage of animation.
Yeah.
They kind of go, yeah, it's a fun movie. And there's some good stuff in there. So anyway, I would recommend it.
I remember, like, and I want to watch Prey again too,
Yeah, me
because
too. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
remember just being surprised by Prey and the concept and the execution and being like, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I don't think I felt about Prey as strongly as I feel about this movie.
No.
I saw the trailer for this, and knowing that it was made by the same guy that made Prey, I thought the trailer for this was like pretty good and just
Mhm.
was like, yeah, I'm sure, I hope that movie is a fun time.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I think Predator Badlands rules. I
It was awesome.
loved this movie.
Movie was so much fun.
I just like from start to finish, every moment that they wanted to landed. Like
Yep.
they just hit every punch, and I just was, I felt like a kid in the movie theater just watching a movie that exists just to be cool. You
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
like, and it's hard, especially these days. I think it's always hard for movies to pull this off, where it's
Mhm.
like the only thing you've got going. We talked about this a lot with Tron Ares, where it's like
Mhm.
if you're gonna be light on story and light on character development, and all you've got going for you is aura and vibes, and just
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
movie's cool, you got to do a better job with those action set pieces. Like it's got to be
Uh-huh.
cooler. It's got to be even cooler than you're making it, and it just is like not quite cool enough if that's the only thing going for your movie.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. In the sci-fi action thriller, I was talking about this last night on my Patreon. I was like, James Cameron is kind of the goat of the sci-fi action cool movie.
Right.
Terminator 2, Aliens,
Mhm.
just movies that are like, it's not like it's, masterful, important, deep cinema.
Right.
It's written well enough that you care about all the characters
Mhm.
and you can watch them over and over and over again. And the moments that are supposed to hit always hit,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And that's what Predator Badlands felt like to me. It was just like
Yeah.
a movie where I was like, this movie's gonna be this movie's gonna like is gonna be fun to rewatch for years. It's gonna
Mhm.
always it's just cool, it's fun, it's entertaining. It's got, it's just one of those movies like The Matrix. It's just like awesome,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, great stuff, great visual effects. I mean, man, his face, I guess he didn't have the actor wore the suit, but they kinda kept the face off, and I couldn't ever really tell. I mean, you can tell just because they couldn't do that, but it looked so good the whole time. I was never pulled out by bad visual effects in this whole movie.
No, it is a movie that is very CGI heavy, and
Yes.
sometimes in the modern era of filmmaking, I think we all can feel a little bit of CGI fatigue and just a little bit of like overuse, and our eyes kind of glaze over. But There's another movie coming out. Speaking of James Cameron, there's another movie coming out this year that we're
Yeah.
probably going to talk about, and it's Avatar: Fire and Ash. It's the
Yeah.
third Avatar movie, and I was thinking this movie has a lot in common with Avatar in just the sense that like the filmmakers had to create these alien worlds and
Mhm.
create kind of an entire ecosystem, and almost everything about it is designed from scratch, and it's almost all computer animated, and it's very fantastical in that way, like, the
Yeah.
movie's about the how big can you imagine? And I like, my prediction is that, like, I kinda think that I'm gonna like Predator: Badlands more than, I mean, maybe it's because 'cause it'll be my 3rd trip to Pandora, but I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like this movie is every bit the worlds on this movie are every bit as rich and interesting and visually stimulating as a movie that probably has 2 or 3 times the budget of
Oh,
this.
yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think this movie was made for like $100 million, and because the cast is so small, every dollar of that is on the screen, like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and everything is going into making sure that these visual effects are as crisp and as clean and as impressive as possible. And it really is something like you don't get pulled out of it really ever, at least I didn't. Um, for a movie that is this CG heavy,
Yeah.
everything just really felt
Yeah.
tactile and real.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm not okay, I love James Cameron. I think he's one of the best filmmakers. I wish he would stop making Avatar movies
me
because
too.
they're my least favorite movies of his. I actually think they're on the bottom of his list as far as movies are concerned. Um, and especially his movies, but uh, they're just not, I don't know, they're not as good as other stuff that he's done, and I do get taken out because, like, yeah, the visual effects are amazing. You can't say that they're not good. But having said that, I know that it's all fake, and I know that, like, these, the Na'vi people are not real, and it's like, yeah, this looks really good, but I also just don't really care that much. And with this, I cared, and like there are real elements in all of this that makes a huge difference. And I know that they have real elements in Avatar. They have human actors, and things like that. But this just had something that felt more tangible than Avatar has, in
Well,
my
and
opinion.
and maybe too, it's because it's sort of rooted in a cinematic history that's been around a lot longer than the Avatar
Hmm.
universe has. That like we've got the Wayland Yutani Corporation in this movie, and
Yeah.
that's not a spoiler. That's in the
Yeah.
trailer.
Yeah.
So we're definitely like continuing the idea that the Alien movies exist cinematically in the same universe as
Right.
at least the Predator species. And even though like movies like Predator and Predator 2 didn't overlap with Alien at all, or a lot of the
Hmm.
Predator movies haven't, but like there's the AVP movies, and now there's this movie where they're sort of overlapping. Um, but and maybe it's that like makes us feel more rooted in this world because everything's fake in this world too. But I think it just comes down to writing. And
Hmm.
and speaking of James Cameron, like, and maybe doing something else, my brother said to me in a text today, he was like, if Dan Trachtenberg can do this good of a job revitalizing Predator, maybe somebody ought to give him a crack at the Terminator franchise. And
Oh,
I'm like, yeah, that could be interesting. Like I wonder
possibly.
what, because the problem with the Terminator franchise in my mind is that they've just kind of remade the same movie like
Yeah.
5 times in a row since the second one. They
Yeah.
just like keep making like ever. It's just like, oh no, another Terminator came back in time, and this time he's even more different than the last one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's just kind of like we got to keep resetting the timeline of like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
man, Skynet keeps sending more advanced Terminators back, and it's just like, cool. We're just like, is there
Mhm.
any other narrative territory we can take this into? Are there any other ideas? And I think the only time that they really tried to do something significantly different was with Terminator Salvation, where it was like, hey, we're actually going to go into the
Mhm.
war. Too bad that movie was directed by McG.
Yeah,
Um,
unfortunately, yeah.
but it's like at least that's like a concept where it's like we're gonna do something else with this world. And I feel like credit to the Predator franchise, it's sort of a franchise that's always doing something else. Like Predator
Yeah.
2 is significantly different from Predator 1 from the first
Yes.
Predator. And
Yeah.
then Predators is quite a different film from Predator 2.
Yeah.
The Predator is a pretty different film. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
worst one by far. Um, Prey is a completely different
Yeah.
concept, and,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen Killer of Killers, but now we've got this one that I
Yeah.
think, for my money, I'll say this in the spoiler-free section, this is my favorite Predator movie. Predator:
Yeah.
Badlands is my favorite one.
Yeah. This is a great one. I mean, it's kind of got everything. And yeah, we talked a little bit before. They are just trying different stuff. They're not doing the same thing over and over and over. And I mean, there's also Alien versus Predator,
Right.
um, which I mean, you can count that in here, and Alien versus Predator Requiem, which I think we both agree is the worst movie,
Yeah,
one of
I
the
think
worst movies ever. But
I think AVP Requiem is worse than The Predator.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I kind of want to watch the Predator again. I think I might because I've been watching these over and over. Which Predator Two, Predator Two is such a weird movie.
I think
It's
Predator 2 doesn't get its flowers enough. I think that I like the weirdness of Predator 2.
it's like dialed up to 11, but
Yeah, but I just like the idea of this, like, this
yeah,
this
yeah.
grizzled cop just fighting
Well,
in the city with this
yeah,
thing that he can't
yeah.
possibly understand.
They move it from the jungles to the city, which is again like that's a big difference. That it's
Mhm.
not the same movie. So they are always trying something different. And you got to appreciate it. And good for them for, and it's working out. I mean, really Dan Trachtenberg has kind of really revitalized this franchise when even Shane Black couldn't, who is an amazing filmmaker.
I think that, too often my personal opinion is that people can get a little too sacrosanct and like
Yeah.
special
Yep.
about the originals,
Yep.
and just I feel like there's like this rule that so many people have where you're just like not allowed to say that
Yeah.
something that's made 20, 30, 40 years later is better than the original. It's just like, no, you're not allowed to say that. And I just am like, of course you are. I think it's silly. I think it's silly that people like don't want to say that Andor is the best thing ever made in the Star Wars universe. I'm just like, it is. It's like there's no writing on the level of Andor anywhere else in
Right.
the Star Wars cinematic universe.
Right.
It's far and above anything that's ever, in my opinion. But like, it's okay to at least just to say that. It's okay to like admit that the ideas, the blueprint that was laid out by that original trilogy
Right.
was taken and improved upon by
Mhm.
somebody who grew up watching those films. I think it's so it's like it reminds me of this fight one time that my roommates got into in college and that lasted like all night long, where they were arguing over what the most like what the greatest video game of all time is. And my one roommate was like, it has to be Pong. It has to be Pong because none of the other video games could exist without it. Just the paddles moving back and forth, and it's
Yeah,
like
that's
it's the
yeah.
first video game, and so without it, you can't. It lays the framework. And my other roommate was arguing that Doom was like one of the most influential video games of all time, that it like set the blueprint for first person
Yeah.
shooters, which are
Yeah.
like the most popular uh you know kind of format, and like that it really sort of pushed the whole form forward in this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they were just in this really heated debate over like, can something that was influenced by the earlier thing be better than the earlier thing? And my
Yeah.
personal opinion is like, yes. Like we
Yeah.
should be hoping to improve. We
Yeah.
should be hoping to do better as we go on. And I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's funny, they're kind of arguing 2 different things, like,
Right.
yeah, of course you can't say that the first of everything is the best of everything because everything is made to be improved on, like and also, I always find it really funny when people argue about, opinions because
Right.
your favorite video game or what you think is the best video game is going to be different, and the same with movies, like
It's subjective.
it is completely subjective. Movies are absolutely 100% subjective. A lot of us agree on many, many things, and it's fine to argue about it and why you like it and why not, but there is no definitive answer. So,
That being said, well, first of all, and like there are all these people who think that like you can't be better than the original. It's like
yeah. Yeah,
these are
yeah,
all
yeah.
people that would probably say Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie, and it's like cool.
True. Yeah.
It's like that's not the original.
It's
that's a
not.
sequel,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
Uh, but like also that being said, that like opinions are opinions.
Yes.
They're your own, they're subjective. It's stupid. There it's stupid to argue about. This movie is getting very good reviews across the
Oh,
board on the different aggregators on the internet.
yeah.
Although I will say the anti-woke critics out there on YouTube are having a field day with this movie for some reason, calling it like Disney's woke Predator movie. And again, your opinion is your opinion, but
Yeah.
I just think those people are some of the most insufferably miserable people. I'm just like, hey, can you just enjoy anything? And
Yeah.
also, you're wrong. Like, what do you mean this movie is woke? It's the
Yeah.
like it was the most overtly boy movie I've seen in so long, where it was just like, hey, this is just a movie for dudes to just watch
Yeah.
some like hardcore awesome stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Like this is a
Yeah.
high-fiving, you know, good old-fashioned action movie.
Yep.
And it's just they're like, but there's a girl in it. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, guys, all right,
I know, there's a girl in the original Predator. Like,
right. The predator is coded as a black man. It's like, well, it's an alien species, but
yeah.
he's always sort of been coded as a black man and always performed by a black,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
A black or a person of color.
yeah,
Like
uh,
that. It
yeah,
really is. And they have always had extremely diverse casts.
right.
Like the first one, you've got Schwarzenegger and Jesse Ventura, who are like the white guys. And then you've got two other black actors. You've got a Hispanic actor of Hispanic descent, and you've got a Native American actor. It,
Arguably, the most famous frame from the first movie is Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers grabbing arms like this,
yeah, like,
and it's a white bicep and a black bicep,
yeah.
and it's like it's a symbol of
Oh,
like
yeah.
we're coming together to defeat racism, brother, and we're doing it in the Predator, brother.
Yeah, it's a it, the, this is just a great movie. And
Yeah,
these are all things that you can do to try and add something new to a franchise rather than try like how can I make this franchise woke? Like Dan Trachtenberg wasn't sitting there thinking, how can I add more of, X, Y, and Z into this to make it more woke? He's
no.
not thinking that.
No, he's literally just going like, "What would make a cool Predator movie?" And
Mhm.
and he's right. Like
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and then people, yeah, everyone like I also again, your opinion can be your opinion, but
Yeah.
and this is not a spoiler, but like the protagonist of this film is a predator. That's
Yeah.
the whole thing. Is that like if you've seen the trailer, the protagonist of the film is this entire franchise. The predators have only ever been the bad guys. It's
Yeah.
like if you decided to make a movie from the perspective of a xenomorph in the Alien
Yep.
franchise. They've
Mhm.
only ever been the bad guys. Although I will say Alien Earth did a little bit of a tweak on like maybe they could be,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
But
uh
Alien versus Predator, the Predator is one of the protagonists.
that's what I'm saying. Is
Yeah.
like people there were so many critics that were going like, you can't make the Predator a protagonist. And I'm like, it's already been
Yeah.
done.
It's been done. We're
They
past this.
they already did it in Alien versus Predator. I know that like in Alien versus Predator, the Predator is kind of indifferent to
Yeah.
the humans. He's
Yeah.
just there to do battle with the xenomorphs,
Mhm.
but he winds up teaming up with our
Yeah.
human protagonist.
Yeah.
And then also like there's sort of an established thing with the predator species, which in this movie we come to find out what they're called. But
Yeah.
like we've never known before this. But there's sort of an established thing that they have kind of like an honor code. Like
Yeah.
at the end of Predator 2, when Danny Glover beats the predator that he's been fighting, there's this like scene on a predator ship where he gets surrounded by all of these predators, and it's like, oh man, he's done for. But they're basically just like, well done. You killed
Yeah.
the like
Yeah.
you killed the guy that we sent in to get you. So
Yep.
good job, and we're gonna leave now. And it's
Yeah.
there's sort of this established thing where they're sort of like a species that's like, good job,
And
bye.
actually, yeah, that's Killer of Killers gets into this.
Yeah,
Again, I would say go watch it, man. It's a fun watch. That's and
I will.
great, and it's they change up the Predator. This is the other thing, okay? I love what Dan Trachtenberg has done with his two Predator live action. Well, his Predator movies that he's made, because he
Yeah,
also made Killer of Killers at the same time he was making
Prey.
Badlands, which is
Oh,
crazy.
Badlands. Yeah,
Yeah. But he changes up how the predators look. Like in Prey, they made it's a feral predator is what they call it, which is like a less evolved one, and he looks a little bit different. I love how that predator looks. And in this one, uh, is it Deck or Dak? Deck.
Deck.
Deck
Yeah.
is a runt. He's a runt of the litter, right? Like that. So he's smaller than everybody else. And most of the other predators that we do see in the movie look more traditional predator. But I like how the changes that they made. They made him look different. They made him look smaller. His features are smaller. It works for the story. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
like that he is and in Killer of Killers, he's got three distinctly different three or four distinctly different predators, which are really cool. Like, go for it, man. I like making these little tweaks on the character and on the monsters.
Yeah, and there's people again that are just like, well, how come he's changing the design? And it's like,
Yeah,
again, they've literally always been doing this. Like
yeah,
every Predator movie has done new designs with like it's so weird when people just want to be mad about something. So they
yeah,
just start like pointing at something that's like, that's actually not a problem. Again, you can have whatever opinion you want. If the movie just didn't work for you, that's fine. But if your complaint is like, this movie changed the design of the Predator and you're not supposed to do that, it's like, well, then you're just wrong about what the Predator franchise is. You're just,
yeah.
that's actually an objective thing that you're wrong about.
Mhm.
Or if it's like, this movie had a female character in it, it's like, yeah, so do like,
Yeah,
what do you mean? Like,
yeah,
this is nowhere near the first time that we've had a main character in a movie featuring a predator who is a woman. Like, like, you're just,
yeah.
it doesn't seem like you know what this franchise is.
No, yeah,
And yeah, anyway, I obviously we really like this movie, so go
yeah.
see it in theaters.
Please do. Yeah,
Yeah, go check it out. It's a lot of fun, and you're gonna want to see it on a big screen. I saw it on an IMAX screen with a very full theater, and my theater was like really raucous. People were like cheering and laughing, and it was
nice.
great. Yeah,
Yeah,
laughing in a good way because
yeah,
this
yeah,
movie is
yeah.
funny,
Mhm.
and not too much, not like Thor Ragnarok or something like that, but it's a nice balance.
Yeah.